Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the publisher, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Josh Mansfield. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you're doing well, getting excited for the weekend. I know I am. Josh, we've got a fun show today. We really do. We're reviewing our portfolios from our stock update, some buys, some holds, and some sells. Also, a little bit later on, Gavin Rathbun going to be joining us. Looking forward to talking with one of the most exciting young players on tour this season in a little bit. Josh, how is your week going?
It's been good. I actually had the expansion packs of Birdie Disc Golf, the board game, show up yesterday. So big game in my house. My wife and I really enjoy that. So we're gonna play that tonight and try out the Northwoods Gold course from Ledgestone. So
well, it's appropriate timing. We're coming up on Ledgestone in a moment.
It is.
Now, somebody asked me in the mailbag what tournament we should get excited for next after Worlds. What is your answer to that question?
I have two answers. The first one is, I think, as we just mentioned, I really do think Ledgestone is it. Ledgestone feels almost like a major to me. I know it's not. It's not nearly as significant, but given that, I mean, it's a previous Worlds course. The kind of layout, I mean, Northwoods Gold is brutal. It's incredibly difficult, but the courses together are just excellent. Like, Ledgestone is a huge event and a staple in my mind on the tour. And I think it's also because of just the hype that they get in terms of like the disc drop. So it's something that a lot of people pay attention to relative to other tournaments. And so I always pay attention to who wins Ledgestone. I think it's a really significant tournament. So expect to see real good competition there. For me personally, though, it's the Green Mountain Championship. Those two courses are my favorite courses in the world, and it's my dream to get to play both of those courses. So
we're gonna get you out there.
I'm on the wrong side of the country, man.
There are these things called airplanes.
That is true.
Get you right there. Although I have to say, I don't even know where you fly into to get to those courses. I mean, I drove from New York City, and you'd be like, oh, New York City to Vermont, that's no big deal. That's like 7 or 8 hours. I mean, it's so far north. It's almost at the Canadian border. But we can figure it out.
All right. I'll take you up on that,
Montreal,
Charlie.
And drive down.
All right, there we go. To spend a weekend in Montreal
I would
first.
recommend flying to Canada right now. Not probably the easiest thing to do.
What about you, Charlie? Which event?
I just thought of an over-under, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Now, this is going to be a long-term one. We're going to have to wait and remember to adjudicate it next year.
Okay.
So if you don't like it, you just tell me. But now, for a long time, the Glass Blown Open, now the Dynamic Disc Open, has been the biggest sort of overall disc golf event in the world.
Okay.
You had, obviously the big pro side of things, but an enormous amateur side.
Mm-hmm.
Probably to the point where like it's no longer possible to hold the pro and the am stuff simultaneously, or at least on the same courses. There's just too many people. But the tournament was down a little bit this year, and I think probably due to COVID. I don't even think they did am stuff last year. And so this year, the biggest tournament, and now officially the largest amateur side tournament ever in the United States, was at Ledgestone. Ledgestone, absolutely enormous. I mean, I don't know how many people it ended up being, like 3,000.
Yeah, it's huge.
So my over-under question, well, it's really an either or, but I think we can count it. Next year, what will have the higher overall attendance by players, not spectators, by players? DDO or Ledgestone?
I'm going to take Ledgestone. And we're counting amateurs as well.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. I think it's going to be Ledgestone. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, do the amateurs play different courses than the...
Ledgestone has like an enormous number of courses for all of the divisions that they have.
That's what I thought. And so I think part of it is that I mean, like you said, in the past, DDO has been on the same weekend, but I think that there's a limitation coming quickly as to how effective that's going to be. But Ledgestone, like you said, just the number of courses that they have for the different divisions, I think is going to be able to facilitate more. And I feel like Ledgestone has momentum. I mean, Ledgestone drops for, I know we're just kind of watching social media. I mean, Ledgestone discs get picked up so fast that I think that Ledgestone has momentum. So I'm gonna stick with Ledgestone. That's my pick.
All right. Well, I mean, obviously I take DDO. I have a feeling that you may be right, just because of like the last 2 years, and like the hype around Discraft, and yeah, somehow Ledgestone, like Nate Heinold has just figured out how to be like, hey, Discraft, I'd like to get 50,000 discs, please. And they're like, no problem. And everyone else is like, wait a minute, can I get some Discraft discs? Please, sir, may I have more? So I think that helps. And so the thing about DDO is that Ledgestone is like in a more populous area of the country.
Yes.
And DDO is in the middle of nowhere. So I think normally like people kind of pilgrimage to Emporia. Mm-hmm. But in COVID year, especially earlier in the year when DDO took place compared to Ledgestone happening later, mm-hmm. I don't think people were like, yeah, let me jump on a flight. So we'll see what that means for the future, because like they just do such a good job of running tournaments down there. I personally still think that DDO is a terrible name that like just like leaches out I don't know, like it makes me less excited for the tournament, which is totally ridiculous to say, but I really feel that way. Like Glass Blown Open, as sort of a strange name as it is, but it just rolls off the tongue. Oh, GBO. DDO, this doesn't do the same for me, but whatever. It is what it is. I think it's still going to be an enormous tournament, but 1,735 people are registered for Ledgestone.
That's so many people, though.
Enormous, right?
Yeah.
It's huge. MA1
also
336 people in it. Like if you win that, you that's like winning a major.
Yeah, that's what I said. I feel like Ledgestone's the major. Question, real quick. I know we talked about this, and I know that you hate it because there was the corporate sponsorship and you liked the old Glass Blown Open. So now is your beef with the name just the way the acronym rolls off the tongue? Because otherwise, I'm going to remind you that the Ledgestone is the Ledgestone Insurance Open. Like
I have no standing here. I have no claim to any kind of like rationality. Like Ledgestone, it's like an unfamiliar enough name that it doesn't bother me. Like it's like I don't know what Ledgestone is. I mean, I know it's an insurance company, but it's like not in New York. So no, there's no reasonable claim here. I just want to make sure. I swear to God, I'm going to stop beating this horse. I'm going to stop.
He's a liar, everybody.
All right. Well, anyway, there it is. Let's write it down. Let's not forget. We need to make a list of our over/under picks and then be able to go back and fill this in, because we won't know until this time next year, basically. All right. So let's get into these stock picks. And Josh did the task of going back and listening back to our picks from last time and where we ended up with our portfolios. And we've got, we had some good takes. We had some bad takes. Josh, used some brutal takes.
Okay. I had a lot of really brutal takes. I will say, however, when you guys go back, if you go back and listen, and you should do that, you should go back and listen before you listen to this show. If you look and just notice a theme, Charlie hardly sold anybody on MPO. So Charlie's out here playing with Monopoly money, no risks, nothing. So I don't want to hear it.
I just held and I bought, and yeah, no, it is true. I didn't not sell anybody. I mean, I made some good plays with myself.
You did.
I sold Casey White like right at the top.
Yeah, that was a great sell.
Right at the top. And so, now Casey White's interesting because you're like, do
you buy him back?
Time to buy.
Right.
We're about to go back to the East Coast. We will get to that. So, all right, we're not going to go through everybody again. We're going to talk about some notable names. We're going to look at some of the picks that we made. And Josh, I mean, I'll let you just grab a name right now. We can talk about what we did last time and what you want to do now.
Okay. Real quick. Let's just clear the air real quick, and let's just start with James Conrad.
Let's do it.
James Conrad, Charlie, you and I both bought James Conrad stock. Yes, we're in
rich.
It's the only reason I'm not bankrupt right now.
We're getting rich. I mean, how much money did we make when he hit the shot?
So much.
I mean, that's just a crazy spike in the price. And to buy at that spot, I mean, we both talked about it at the time. It's like James Conrad still learning the new plastic, not quite totally dialed in yet, but can see the potential, know that it's in there, and then for him to get worlds of all tournaments, come on! I mean, that's just massive. So big time play. So the question is, now what?
I mean, if the trend holds from USDGC, I probably should sell my James Conrad stock right now. And don't get me wrong, if James keeps playing well, I don't think his stock price will deflate much, but he is GameStop. We bought him at $3 a share, and he is worth hundreds of dollars right now. It's got to come down eventually. Even if he were to continue to win regularly, I think that the hype around what happened and the outside exposure of the disc golf world means that James is at an unsustainably high price right now.
Yeah, everybody just bought the stock. Yeah, honestly, I'm with you. And I think James is probably going to do well later this season. Don't get me wrong, but I just have the market prices and have a portfolio.
If anybody has any ideas about how to calculate this, send us an email, because we thought about it and we're like,
take it.
Yeah, we're like, this is a lot of work. So if any of you come up with a system, we're happy to hear it. Anyway, back to our picks.
I mean, people use ratings sometimes as a proxy, but it's too sticky. Right?
Yeah,
ratings change once a month. They're often not going to change very much, even if your player goes really cold or really hot. So that's not quite a viable pattern. I mean, maybe we could use power rankings. That'd be an interesting way of doing it. Anyway, send us an email, upshot@ultiworld.com. I'm going to sell my James Conrad stock. I agree with you. I think, how do you not sell at this spot? It's we've seen the hot, how much, what more do you want to be able to sell?
Nothing.
All right. How about Paul McBeth? We both held, which I think was definitely the right play. Paul's played great since then. I mean, buying would have been reasonable.
Yeah.
It would have been reasonable. Before DDO, he had won nothing. All-stars, but that.
Yeah. And he
played well, but he hadn't won anything. And then we both held, and then he went on to win DDO. And then, of course, the Des Moines Challenge this past weekend. But also the second place finish at Worlds. I think, add all that up, and that's stock price on the come up. So we held, we didn't buy. What do you do now?
I mean, I think I'm probably going to hold. And the reason why is it's not actually a knock against Paul McBeth. It's actually a credit to his excellence. And the reason why I say that is because even if he wins, he was playing a little poor and now he's played better, but I don't feel like my attitude of Paul McBeth has changed. And granted, I said in the show, I had been slowly selling off some of my Paul McBeth stock because of how poorly he'd been playing that season. So my Paul McBeth stock is a little bit lower than most, probably just from what I said last show. But at the end of the day, because of how high Paul McBeth's premium is right now, you're paying for the 5-time world champion. And this is part of the reason why I don't know if power rankings effectively work. I mean,
I think Paul's got to still be the most expensive player to buy.
He might be. I'd say, except for probably James right now, who is just abnormally inflated. He may still be the most expensive. And the problem is that like because of how expensive Paul McBeth is, because of our expectations, it would take an absolute tear for him to make me a ton of money. I mean, if he plays well at a bunch of tournaments and then wins Ledgestone and plays well at a bunch of tournaments and then, I don't know, wins Green Mountain Championship, like that doesn't mean that Paul McBeth now is going to skyrocket because we're all like, oh, wow, Paul did it. Congratulate, like Paul's killing it. So, I mean, I'm just going to hold just because I don't think in terms of the cost for the return on my investment is just not that high for Paul. So I still am going to keep holding Paul.
I mean, once again, I'm right where with you. I look, owning Paul McBeth stock is a must.
Mm-hmm.
This is a blue chip, right? Every 3 months, you're getting a fat dividend check, and the price is going up over time because the guy just keeps on dominating. This is somebody who maybe only like 2 or 3 of the last 10 years has not been player of the year, like worthy. And I don't mean the PDGA, I'm Ulti World Disc Golf Player of the Year, where you like look at the actual important tournaments. So I think, I'm not going to sell.
Mm-mm.
No way. I mean, if anything, there's an argument to buy right now because he's coming into form. I mean, he's played his best disc golf in the last like 6 weeks. The thing is, like right off the win, it's a tough time to want to buy. I also just think it's so competitive, like how many more tournaments can we reasonably expect him to win? I mean, you could maybe say the same thing about Paige Pierce, and she like won 5 or 6 in a row. But I just think, I'm holding. I'm definitely not selling.
Yeah.
And, like I actually literally think about buying here. I do think about buying a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea to buy a little bit. But
all right, let's hit some more here. How about Kevin Jones? Kevin Jones, real interesting. We both bought. I think that was probably the right call.
Mm-hmm. I think his stock's gone up.
You look at Kevin Jones. Let's see. Before DDO, he'd actually been a really inconsistent. I mean, he had 54th at Waco. He had a few top 10s, no podiums, and then since then, he has 3rd at Masters Cup, 4th at Portland, 4th at Worlds, 7th at the Des Moines Challenge. So I think definitely improved to play. I think, you get a nice little bump from his performance at Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the accumulation phase with Kevin Jones. I'm buying more stock. I think that Kevin Jones is a player who is going to continue to get better. And as his game matures, he's going to continue to improve. We're also coming up on a stretch of tournaments where I think he can be very competitive. Don't forget, last year at D-Glow, which is our next Elite Series event, he really should have won. I mean, he had a lead in the final round and then just like had a brutal hole. I don't know, painfully familiar tale about Kevin Jones at this point. But I think, you got to like his chances at that course, given the way that he's been playing the last few weeks. So I'm buying more Kevin Jones stock. I want to get as much as I can.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same place. I think Kevin Jones is a safe buy because we know what his potential is, but 2, it also feels like he hasn't hit that potential yet. And so the combination of those 2 things means that even though he's been playing well, I still think he's got room to keep getting better and playing better this season. So, I agree with you there. I think I'm buying Kevin Jones stock.
Let's hop over to FBO real quick. Paige Pierce. Let's take through what happened there before DDO.
Paige had been playing very poorly relative to Paige standards, and you wisely purchased at what you called probably one of the all-time lows of Paige Pierce in recent memory. And that was a great pick. I sold because I was still skeptical of the Hawaii vacation. I didn't think that was going to be the magic cure-all that it planned to be. And again, I don't want to say I'm knocking the Hawaii vacation. Like, players have the right to vacation. Don't want to get into that. I just didn't know if it was gonna. I didn't think that you would go to Hawaii and then win 3 tournaments. Apparently,
Great.
I
Well,
need.
let's make sure we get the stats straight here. You know, you're trying to like just bury you under the rug. She won 5 in a row.
Was it 5 in a row? Holy
OTB Open,
smokes!
U.S. Women's, her first, the major of the year, first at Masters Cup, first at Portland, first at the Utah Open,
Holy
then
cow!
second at Worlds.
I forgot about Utah. I said 3. I was wrong either way, but terrible choice on my part. I guess I need to go to Hawaii because apparently it fixes your disc golf game. I think that the blow at Worlds as well as a okay performance at Des Moines, not great. It's enough that Paige's stock has dipped just a touch, and I'm gonna buy some right now because I would be a dummy to keep continuing my life without Paige Pierce stock.
Well, I mean, again, blue chip here. I'm going to hold. I'm not going to buy. I think I bought at the right time. There's an argument for selling, but not a good one. I mean, let your winners run. Cut the losers. So I'm letting the winners run here. Paige price has clearly improved quite a bit since DDO. And I think, you know, I get the idea, like a couple of not firsts in a row, you could add more here on the dip.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have enough. So I'm just going to sit tight. All right. Who do you want next?
I mean, let's do Katrina Allen. We both bought Katrina Allen stock last time.
Wise.
So look at us go. Charlie, we basically predicted Worlds. That's what this means. So, what are you doing with your Katrina Allen stock now?
I gotta do a little due diligence here. I'm looking back at what she did at these tournaments last year. She won Ledgestone.
How'd she do at Deglow?
6th. She was mostly podium. She was 4th at MVP. Otherwise, all the other tournaments down the stretch, she was in the top 3. Look, I'm going to sell.
Ooh.
I'm going to sell. I think this is a James Conrad type situation for me. Like, the World's win, pushing prices to levels that I don't feel comfortable sitting and holding here. I just think we're going to have some more, like Heather Young's about to be back on tour. We've got Kristen Tatar for a few more weeks. Who knows? By the time we get to, like Throw Pink championships, the European players may all come over. So we could have all those players here. I just think like I'm basically, I feel like I'm going to have a chance to buy again at a lower price.
Okay.
I think, a couple of lower finishes. We saw that, the World's hangover effect. I just am like, all right, I'm going to take some profit here coming off of Worlds. And I think that, I'll have another chance. Now, many have said that before, but here I am. I'm making the call. I'm going to sell.
I'm actually going to buy a little bit more Katrina Allen price. And I recognize that the premium is kind of high right now, but here's my thoughts on it. James Conrad was not expected to win Worlds, like at all. And so he jumped from a pretty low number to an incredibly high, especially in the fashion that he did it, I think. Katrina Allen, we said, like, if she wins Worlds, we're not going to be surprised. At this segment last for DDO, we were talking about that. And I remember I asked you, I think on my second episode, I asked you if you think Katrina Allen plays her best 100% and Paige Pierce plays her best 100%, you thought Katrina Allen could beat her and would beat her. I think that this is more of a Macbeth scenario where this second Worlds now adds to her floor as to how low she dips, because you're paying for that premium of Worlds. And that if she now goes and beats Paige 2-3 events in a row, Obviously she didn't Des Moines, but if she does, I think she has a very a higher ceiling right now than what it would take for James Conrad in order to break his price and keep going up. And so I am going to buy Katrina Allen because I think that she has the capacity to do it, and I just didn't believe that James did. So that's my reasoning and the differences as to why I make that decision on Worlds.
All right. How about Ricky Wysocki? Last time around, you smashed by.
I did.
He was coming off a real hot streak. I held. And I mean, I think it's fair to say that we both should have sold.
Yes.
Ricky he'd won 3 of the last 4 tournaments. And then we bought, and it was looking real good. We had the second at DDO. He won Goat Hill. Then 4th at OTB Open, 14th at Masters Cup, 2nd at Portland, 2nd at Utah Open, 7th at Worlds. You know, when I actually look back at it, I'm actually not sure what would have happened to the price here. It probably went down a little bit because he just won so many in a row. Like, yeah, how does it not come down a little bit? But those are, I mean, he's still playing really well.
He is.
It's just when you set the standard of clear world's favorite and like winning everything, and then you don't win everything, it feels like a slip. At the end of the day, I think the 7th at Worlds has to be a knock. Like, that has to bring the price down some. So yeah, I don't really know where the price would be exactly, but what do you want to do now?
Ricky will come back up eventually. I think it's safe to say that I'm probably not going to make a lot of money on Ricky this season. Like, he would have to, honestly, I think win USDGC. I think that's the only way I get a real profit. I wait till Ricky comes back, gets pretty hot, his stock goes back up to where it was when I bought it, and then I sell my stock after that. So I'm holding for right now, and hoping desperately that he wins USDGC.
Bag holding Ricky Wysocki right now. Look, I'm not going to buy high and then sell low. So I'm going to hold, and I'm going to hope for the best. I'm in the same boat. I think. I mean, look, again, like, you're getting the dividends. He's going to have, I mean, he's still playing really well. Like, he's still been right there at a lot of tournaments. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to think that's not going to happen again. We're also coming up on Ledgestone where he plays really well. I will not be shocked to see Ricky get a couple more Elite Series wins and really make things interesting in the Player of the Year race. I mean, he was the clear favorite. I think maybe that's drifted a little bit at this point, but he still has a chance to be the best player this season, and I think you got to have some stock in your pocket with that on the table. Mm-hmm. Who do you want?
Let's do Owen Scoggins.
Owen Scoggins, coming off her best rated round of all time.
Yeah,
in her career. How about that? I'm going to pull up the number for you.
Wasn't it 1050?
It was something like that. It was 1050 straight up. I'm going to actually check. It was an unofficial 1050, so we're going to see if things have changed.
Hold.
Anyway, go ahead. I'll find it while you talk about Owen Scoggins.
I bought Owen Scoggins stock. I feel like it's still probably, and you sold. I feel like it's probably pretty. It's tough because I think it dipped, and now I think it's a touch higher than when I bought it. Not much, but a tiny bit. Because before DDO, she had 4th LVC, 2nd Waco, 9th Texas State. And then, DDO goes 12th, OTB 8th, US Women's 17th, Masters Cup 11th. And you're like, Charlie made the right pick. But then she goes 7th at Portland Open, 4th at Utah Open, and 6th at Worlds. And I think 6th at Worlds for Owen Scoggins is a great finish. So I mean, I don't know how much you weigh the Worlds finish. It's got to be close to where it was. If not, I don't think it's below by any means. I don't think it's terribly higher. I probably sell now. I mean, I feel like I took a good risk that it didn't pay off, but it didn't hurt me either. So I probably sell now, especially since, I mean, she doesn't have any events until Idlewild, and it looks like she's only got Idlewild and MVP Open left on the season. I mean, I think she'd have to win it in order to increase her stock price to the point of making it worth it. So I'm selling my Owen Scoggins stock.
Fair. I sold before. And so, like, really, I'm now looking whether I want to buy or I just want to sit tight with no Owen Scoggins stock. Honestly, I think I got to sit tight.
Yeah.
And that's mostly because there's not a lot of opportunity because she's not going to be touring much for the rest of the season for her to do more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy next winter before she goes back, and starts touring again. But it was, by the way, a 1050
rated round.
Still listed as unofficial, but it's expected to stay. Yeah, she shot a 45 in round 1 at the Rabbit Flats disc golf course, which is just tremendous round. Like in advanced men's, the top score was a 49. So she was balling. She beat Holland Handley by 20 strokes over 2 rounds. So how about that? Awesome for Owen Scoggins. What an achievement. 1050. Man. So yeah, I think actually Owen Scoggins is like a sneaky buy, but I'm going to wait a little bit because I think I can get it at a lower price later this year. So let's see. I'm going to take us over to, let's do one of the other 1050 boys, Calvin Heimberg. I bought, you held. If we look at what happened with Calvin Heimberg since DDO, 4th, 33rd at Masters Cup, 4th at Portland, 11th at Worlds, 2nd at DMC. I'm not sure that I should have bought. I mean, maybe but I think it's been pretty flat.
Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of what I figured was going to be the case with Calvin. And I mean, I'll say what I said on the last show. Like, I need to see another year Calvin not from the chase card down by double-digit strokes. That's what I need to see in order for me to get excited. Otherwise, like, I mean, I know he's an incredible player, but it feels like another player has to mess up for Calvin to win right now. That's where I'm at. So I'm just gonna keep holding my Calvin Heimberg. I'm not selling it. I'm gonna be dumb to sell it. I think he's gonna keep playing well.
I'm doubling down.
Nuh-uh.
I'm doubling down. I'm buying. I'm buying big time. The talent is unbelievable with this guy.
It is.
Honestly, I started to think it's between the ears a little bit. Just not executing when the pressure is high. And it's not like we haven't seen him do it in the past, but it feels to me like he either wins from like a big lead or he doesn't win. Or he's like chasing and like has some incredible final round. I mean, he just did it Des Moines Challenge, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Way behind on the chase card, almost makes it a game. And did the same thing at USDGC last year. The thing is, we saw this same kind of thing from Chris Dickerson, where it was like clunky first round or a clunky second round, and then a beast mode final round. And then what did Chris Dickerson do? Well, he played awesome, won a major. Calvin Heimberg's talent is too fat for me not to continue to pick up shares. So I'm buying more. If anything, the price is a little bit down right now from where it was. I'm taking advantage of that. I think that there's hardly a player that I'd rather get more shares in right now than Calvin Heimberg, because I think that it's just a matter of time before it all clicks.
And that's fair. That is very fair. How about Sarah Hokum? We both sold.
And I think that was the right move. I mean, she like missed a ton of the tour because of the injury.
Yep.
She played DDO, finished 38th, and then didn't play anything until Worlds. So now she's gone 7th at Worlds, 6th at DMC. Got the ace on 18 at Mulligan's.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do now? You buying back in?
No, I don't think I am. I don't think she's a good player. I don't see any reason why she's going to be beating Paige and Katrina more regularly than like Haley King is going to. So I don't see any reason. And it's not to say that it's not going to improve, but I don't see, one, a huge upside to buying it, or two, the stability of just investing in it for just kind of like that foundation, like we do with Paige. Yeah, for just dividends. So I'm okay without Sarah Hokum stock right now.
Well, I feel like I sold high and now I'm going to buy low.
Okay.
We're about to get into the woods. We're about to get on the disc golf courses. The worst is over for Sarah Hokum, hopefully with the injury as well. But like, she's never going to win on those golf courses. Never. It's just not happening. But now courses are going to get more technical. We're going to be in the woods. We know how she can play there. We've seen her be incredibly competitive. And I really think that given the long hiatus, the injury, all the question marks around that, that's pushing share prices down, down, down. This is a great chance to get back in. Do I think, am I going all in here? No, but I'm gonna buy some shares. I think Sarah Hokum is undervalued relative to her skill. I won't be surprised if she starts podiuming the rest of the year. So I'll take advantage of that and buy when the iron is cold.
All right. Let's
go with somebody we didn't do last time.
Okay.
Who I think we have to talk about today, Nate Sexton. And at the time, remember, Nate Sexton basically hadn't been touring.
Not hardly at all.
Had he played anything? He played Las Vegas.
Yeah, Las Vegas.
That's all he had done. And then he was registered for DDO.
Yeah.
He went, here's his numbers since his return to tour. DDO 37th, OTB 11th, Masters 15th, Portland 37th, and then World's 3rd. Bam, 3rd. So obviously that caused a little upward shock in the share prices. What are you doing with Nate Sexton here?
Okay, before I make this pick, I just have to I have to clarify. Are we going to do another stock picks midway through the second half of the season?
I don't know. I feel like we should probably do one before the final swing. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there it is, everybody. We're going to be doing one more after this for the season, and then we'll do our, preseason next year. I'm gonna hold my no shares of Nate Sexton stock right now. I think the shares are high, and he's about to go to the Preserve in Ledgestone, where I don't think he's going to be. I mean, I think he'll play good Northwoods Gold, but I don't see him being super competitive at Ledgestone, and I definitely don't see him being as competitive at Preserve, just with the distance required. And I know he can throw far, but he can't throw as far as Eagle. I'm going to wait, and he's only registered for those two events and then MVP Open Green Mountain Championship. I'm going to buy him before that stretch, assuming
that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, like that, and that's why I checked, because I'm like, well, I don't want to be out in the cold at MVP Open and Green Mountain Championship, because I think Nate can play really well there, but I don't really want him on my portfolio for the Preserve. So I am going to hold no shares of Nate Sexton right now. Coming back to that later.
So we'll just go ahead and say that our final stock pick segment will be before the MVP Open, after Delaware Disc Golf Challenge.
Perfect.
So between now and then, we have Great Lakes Open, Preserve, Ledgestone, Idlewild, and then the Delaware Disc Golf Challenge. Yep. And then we'll do another segment, and that'll get us ready for MVP Open, GMC, Music City Open, USDGC, and the Tour Championship.
Perfect.
Your logic is sound. I was going to buy, but now that we've decided that this is how we're going to do it, I'm still going to buy.
Oh,
give it to me now. Give it to me now. I think that Nate Sexton shares, even after the third place at Worlds, If we had an actual market and we had an actual price to look at, then maybe I wouldn't make this choice. But I don't really think that it's going to be that high. Like, oh yeah, Nate Sexton, it was like weird courses, kind of short, kind of fort, blah, blah, blah. I think we're starting to see Nate Sexton find the rhythm. And you're right, distance wise, not necessarily like the super bomber, but do you need it at the rest of the year? Do you really need it? I think he's got enough to compete. Now we don't know how he's going to do at Preserve. He didn't play last year. So I'm not sure about the competitive advantage there or lack thereof. So I'm going to take advantage of this uncertainty.
Okay.
And I'm going to buy some Nate Sexton. Remember, he didn't play after Memorial last year.
No,
he never played. He came to USDGC to play and he got hurt, probably because he hadn't been playing. So now, you've seen him like be through the worst of it. Like he's not playing. Share prices are plummeting. He's not finishing that well now that he's back on tour. And then all of a sudden, it's like he figured it out. Well, I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity and I'm going to buy now with the hopes that prices go up from here and then you have to buy in at a higher price.
All right.
Let's do one or two more. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I want to do Chris Dickerson because I feel like I actually made a great decision on Chris Dickerson last time. I sold all my Chris Dickerson stock and you held. DDO took fourth and then fourth at Worlds.
And he didn't play all that time.
He didn't. How do you evaluate that stock?
I honestly don't know.
I feel like it has to be slipping during that time.
Oh, yeah.
It's going down. How do you rate that Worlds and DDO? I don't know if it gets him back to... I don't know where you put that. I think it's fair to say...
I'm not sure either. I think you made the right call with a sell. Now, what are you going to do today?
And now I'm going to buy Chris Dickerson stock because I think that had he been playing on that stretch, he would have been playing well. He would have been finishing well, and his stock would have gone up. But with him playing no tournaments, I just didn't see a huge point in sticking with him unless he had won Worlds, in which case I would have been dumb. But he didn't, so now I think is the time to buy Chris Dickerson.
I think I'm going to hold. I just don't think we've seen quite the same Chris Dickerson this year as we did last year. I'm not ready to sell, but I'm just not. I don't feel convinced right now by Chris Dickerson.
Okay,
not enough to buy. All right, we got to do Eagle. We got to do Eagle. You sold.
I did.
Which after Worlds, it might be like, oh, that was a good call, but no, it was not a good call.
It was not a good call. It was such a bad call.
He went second at DDO, first at OTB Open, first at Portland, and then eighth at Worlds. So what do you do now? Well, I'll answer first so I bought. I'm going to hold. I don't really want to buy more.
It's a high price right now.
It is. I also think we're off the course. He's won Idlewild. He could definitely win a Preserve.
He did. He didn't. No, Nico won Preserve, didn't he?
Definitely win these next few tournaments.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hold. I'm tempted to sell. I really am. But I believe very much in the long-term prospects of Eagle, and I feel like I've been getting prices, and prices just continue to go up. I'm not really in a position where I want to buy more right now. I'm going to wait. If he plays poorly, I'm going to buy more.
Okay. I'm going to buy, and I can.
It's tough.
It is tough
at the top.
I sold at the top.
And then you're buying back at the higher top.
Yes. Yep. I am. And here's why. I can hear a financial advisor conscience in my head screaming at me not to do this. But if my financial portfolio has to die on the train that Eagle McMahon can play in the woods, then
he's going all in, folks.
be it. I will put my money where my mouth is. Eagle stock can keep going up. Eagle can win in the woods. I'm buying Eagle McMahon stock.
What a prove it stretch of disc golf this is going to be for Eagle coming up.
Yes.
I mean, coming off Worlds, like going on Instagram Live complaining about the OB lines, like it's time to show up and like compete week in and week out. The talent is too intense for him not to be doing that, in my mind. I mean, he's just so good. And somebody in the Ultra World Disc Golf Discord, which you can join if you're a subscriber, said that it's not that Eagle isn't good in the woods, it's that he loses his advantage in the woods. And I mean, that may be true. But I still think that he has all of the capabilities to dominate on all courses. Like, I still think that he is the most promising player under 25. So, yeah, I'm holding. You're buying. We're going to see what happens. Big time prove it stretch, though, coming up.
It is.
All right. How about Haley King?
I'm going to buy Haley King stock. I think that at the time when we were at DDO, her stock was high because of the Texas State Championships win. She then won DDO and then, took second at US Women's and third at Portland, fourth at Worlds. I mean, she's playing well. And I think that, it's good to have my Haley King stock. But I really do think, I mean, she has distance, but she tore up Texas State. And I just think that, and don't forget, I mean, we talk about DDO as being a bomber course, which is true, but it also is demanding in the technicality of it as well. And so I think that she's going to play well at some of the courses coming up. I like her a lot at D-Glow. I like her at Ledgestone. I think both of those suit well. So I'm going to buy Haley King stock again right now.
Yeah, me too. I if anything, prices are either flat or come down a little bit since our previous session. I think that I'm trying to get as many Haley King shares as I can. This is the time to buy, because in 5 years when she's winning everything, you're going to wish you had done it now. It's like buying Amazon in 1995. All right, let's see. I actually think that's going to bring us to the end. We're going to talk about some of the promising younger players in our subscriber bonus segment, where we're going to talk about which of the young players on tour have the best chance to have a breakout. You can become a subscriber for less than $4 a month at discgolf.ultiworld.com/subscribe. Coming up next, one of those promising young players, Gavin Rathbun, joins us here on the Upshot. Stay with us. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. You should make sure to follow Pound on all of their social media platforms, especially Facebook and Instagram, so you can find out about the latest drops. They've got a bunch of new bags coming out this month, and the best place to find out when they're coming is on their social media platforms. So give them a follow, Instagram.com/PoundDiscGolf, Facebook.com/PoundDiscGolf, and also set your calendars for August 1st when the new custom programs will open once again. Find out more at PoundDiscGolf.com. Welcome back to the Upshot. Joining us now is Gavin Rathbun, who just finished third at the Des Moines Challenge and is one of the most promising young players on tour. Is having a great season. Gavin, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for making some time early on this Wednesday morning. So I guess first and foremost, would just love to hear a little bit about how you got started playing disc golf and kind of your journey to this point, as you've now been, finishing inside the top 5 on a regular basis and looking to, crack that first Elite Series win.
Nice. Well, I started playing quite a while ago. I'm actually in my hometown right now of Oswego, Illinois, where I started with my buddy Ian Burchett. I played 3 sports in high school and my whole life: football, baseball, and I wrestled. And that's kind of the sports side of my life. Disc golf was never there, even though I knew what it was my freshman year of high school, maybe just before that. I was never too into it. I would go to wrestling practice, come home, go to baseball practice, come home. And it was never really disc golf until I hurt my left shoulder pretty bad in wrestling. I dislocated it and hurt my collarbone. And since then, I needed something competitive to do, and disc golf kind of took that over. We had a couple local guys tell me and my buddy about tournaments and junior worlds and amateur worlds, and it just lit a fire. I wanted to go out and compete.
And you've been on tour for, is it 2 seasons now? You toured quite a bit last season. Is that correct?
Yep. Last year was supposed to be the start, but I still didn't get out to all the Elite Series events with COVID happening and whatnot.
And for this year, I mean, what were your expectations coming into the season?
Well, I played really solid last year. I played extremely consistent. So a huge goal of mine was to keep the consistency, but get better and be able to shoot the better rounds. And that's what you got to do. You almost have to play perfect to win nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, does it feel that way? I always kind of wonder about that. Like, it seems like when, you look at the round ratings required, for example, to win at a tournament, you got to be averaging 1060 generally in order to win, which feels like it's like you only get room for a couple mistakes. Do you think that that's what separates the guys who are winning on a regular basis from kind of everybody else, that they're able to execute to that level?
Absolutely. I think it has a huge thing with staying out of bounds. Don't go out of bounds, and making your putts. I missed 4 putts this last weekend inside the circle. Those are the only ones I missed, and I lost the tournament by 4 strokes.
Right. What do you look at as the best part of your game?
Throwing. I love throwing the disc, backhand drives in particular.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. If I remember right, you were near the top of the distance competition at Worlds.
6 feet. 6 feet. I got second. Yep.
That's so driving then definitely. Do you feel like you have the accuracy to accompany that distance on those throws that you enjoy so much?
Absolutely. Definitely. I stay away from the shots over 600 feet in tournaments, but anything under that, I feel like I can compete with the best of them in the accuracy department.
So, as you look ahead to the rest of your year, because I mean, you've got a couple of third place finishes, or, one of them at a silver series, now at an Elite Series DGPT event. Do you have any goals in mind? I obviously everybody wants to win, but I often wonder, for a player like you who's kind of still new to tour and maybe hasn't been in a position to like think about winning on a regular basis, like, is that the goal, or do you like see yourself as being like, I want to, I don't know, earn a tour card next year, make the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship, whatever the metrics may be for what you see as success?
Definitely. I definitely would not say that my goal is to win this season. It's more to learn to win. Between Waco, couple of the Silver Series, and now Des Moines Challenge, I feel like I'm learning how to win, what it takes to really win. You can't just go out and expect to be competing for first place every weekend. There's 75 guys at every tournament that have a really good shot at winning the tournament. So this year is all about honing in the skills at these bigger events, honing in the feelings, the nerves, and really understanding what it takes to take down one of these bigger tournaments.
Would you say nerves and the mental game are an area of weakness in your game right now?
Not nerves, definitely not nerves, but mental game has been my biggest weakness all year by far.
In what sense?
Just not quite having the confidence, and once one shot goes wrong, I've been having a really hard time undigging that hole, and I just keep going with that bad shot. I keep flowing off the bad shot, and you really can't do that.
Mm-hmm. What has touring life been like for you? I mean, last year was strange with COVID. Maybe this year a bit more normal. What's that been like? You know, do you have some travel partners? What's the experience of being out on the road?
Last year I traveled by myself. Well, traveled by myself in my vehicle. This year I've added on my buddy that I actually started playing disc golf with, Ian Burchett. And me and him are out in my car. We stay at hotels, we stay at locals' houses, Airbnbs. I love the fact that I get to see the United States, and hopefully sooner than later outside of the United States due to disc golf as well. I am getting pretty excited to start looking into more travel rigs. I think that's going to make my headspace a lot better. Just traveling in a normal passenger car and two people, all of our stuff, it gets a little crazy sometimes.
I forgive me. I don't know much about your friend Ian. Does he play at these events or does he caddy for you?
He plays.
He plays.
Yep.
Do you think then having somebody for practice rounds who are also playing it has been, a big advantage to you? Someone you can talk through the course and work with almost in the same way some people do with their caddies?
Yeah, absolutely. That's that helped me last year as well. I've always hung out and played my practice rounds with Alex Russell, Noah Meitzma, and so forth, Alan Wagner, Tim Barham. We have a nice little group of guys together that play throughout the week for the most part.
So I'm just, I'm looking at your UDisc page right now, taking a look at some of your stats. You have some very good numbers. You're 15th on tour right now and getting inside the circle. And that goes to what you said was your biggest strength is your throwing. You're 94th in Circle 1X putting at 77%. How do you get that number up?
Confidence. We can all make it from inside 33 feet. It's just about telling ourselves in that moment.
For sure. I'm curious. I want to go back to something that you said at the beginning about your athletic background. So you hurt your shoulder in wrestling, mm-hmm. and then you found disc golf. And did you find that disc golf was the sport for you, or do you did you decide that that you just couldn't continue in some of your other past sports because of the injury?
Man, this is weird. I hate to say it, but in a way, I might have been getting tired of some of the sports that I was playing. And so I kind of used my shoulder as an excuse. I didn't get surgery ever. So it still is popping out almost every day, and if not weekly. So I never, up until the beginning of last year, or maybe even a few months before that, I never had any intention to tour. I wanted to. It was in the back of my head, but I never really worked towards that goal. It was my buddies, Alex, Noah, Cameron, that all convinced me to go out and really give it a shot.
What was it like in the transition then from being an athletic person who enjoys playing disc golf, at least at the local and regional scene at some A tiers, to then saying, all right, I'm going to tour. What in your routines changed? Was there like diet and fitness changing, or was it just more practice? What did that change look like for you when you committed to trying to be a touring professional?
Well, it definitely didn't change the diet. It made the diet worse being on the road all the time. But the mindset, it changed my mindset. It changed my practice routine, changed just the way I looked at disc golf, because disc golf was always fun. I enjoyed going and hanging out with the local guys and seeing all my friends at the tournaments here in Illinois, and to changing and not seeing them and going and having to keep this completely competitive mindset throughout the week and especially the weekends.
Well, tours coming to your neck of the woods. Are you excited to play out there in Michigan and Illinois coming up?
Oh yeah, some courses that I'm used to, courses I've been playing for the last handful of years. That's been a slight problem on tour this year, is playing courses for the first time and having to practice those long courses multiple times throughout the week.
Yeah. Do you feel like fatigue is a factor?
Definitely. I need to start personally working out much more because my shoulder gets insanely sore. I'm actually taking this weekend off of Mad City to get ready for Toboggan in Michigan.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like you don't really often hear pros talking about it, but especially with how many long kind of full power shots are required in the first half of the tour, I can imagine it really does get tiring. I mean,
definitely.
All right, so when you look ahead, what events are you most looking forward to for the rest of the year, and what's a goal that you have in mind for 2021?
So the tournaments I'm looking forward to the most are Ledgestone. That's my longest running pro tournament that I've competed in.
What's your best finish?
Maybe only 27th or maybe 22nd. Somewhere in there. I haven't cracked top 20 yet.
Got it.
USDGC, hopefully the Disc Golf Pro Tour finals, and going along with the goals. My two really big goals this year are to qualify for the Match Play Championships and the Disc Golf Pro Tour finals.
Yeah, the cutoff for Match Play is coming up soon. You're in 11th right now.
So, there's a cutoff date?
Yeah, well, I don't know when it is exactly. It's after a certain tournament. I want to say it's Idlewild before they determine the Match Play. But don't quote me on that. I would have to look it back up. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. It's definitely before the end of the season. So it's not like with the Pro Tour Championship. So you're
new
in a
information.
Good position. You're in a good position. Well, yeah, so, like I said, do not quote me on it. But that's what I understand from if my memory serves me correctly. I'm actually gonna look it up right now.
While Charlie's looking that up, I do have a question. Those two events, like the Match Play Championship and the Pro Tour Championship, at least for Charlie and I, we've talked about it a lot. They come at a incredibly busy part of the season. I mean, you get USDGC, and then 2 weeks later, it's like Pro Tour Championship. And especially given the format, when we watch it, it's fun, it's enjoyable, but it's hard for us to take it quite as seriously and put as much investment in it as it is for Worlds. So it's interesting to me that you say, oh no, these are the two that like I've really set as my goal. Is that the goal because that just says how your season has been, or is there another goal related specifically to why you want to play in those two tournaments?
It has to do with the season. It shows that you came out and played well at the big events all season long, because you aren't going to make it from just playing, at least now this year, you aren't going to make it from only playing 4 to 5 of the Elite Series events, at least to the Match Play Championship. Some of the guys like Simon can still make it into the finals, get top 32 playing only the handful of events. But definitely not the match play. So yeah, it's a season. It was a goal at the beginning of the season for me as well.
I was right. After Idlewild, top 16 in MPO qualify for match play championships.
Nice.
So there you go.
That sets up really well for you. You get to play your home courses, and then we close the door. So
yeah, it's all the courses I know before I have to go out and play some new courses to finish the year.
All right, Gavin. Well, thanks so much for stopping by. Like, one thing I want to ask you: how old are you?
I turned 23 this last January. So,
all right, so 23. We're always talking about like young players, and we're never totally sure how old everybody is. So, very cool. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, and looking forward to watching you compete the rest of the way. I guess I do have one question for you. What do you think? You played well last year, but I think it's fair to say that you're playing better this year. What's been the big difference, do you think, in your game between last year and now?
I've gotten better this year. I almost have to disagree with you that I'm playing better.
Okay.
I think that my cap is higher this year, so I'm shooting better rounds than I did at all last year. But the consistency this year and how I felt on the course isn't any better than last year.
Got it. Okay. Well,
at least that's how I feel.
I mean, you would know better than I how you are playing. All right, Gavin. Well, thank you so much, and best of luck out there the rest of the year.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Gavin Rathbun with us here on the Upshot. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Upshot. Thanks again to Gavin Rathbun for stopping by. Gotta he was just like, yeah, my friends convinced me to go out on tour, so I went out on tour, and now I'm better than all of them out on tour. I mean, he didn't say that, but it's true. He's playing good, and like you said, Josh, he can bomb it, and that's the prerequisite on tour, as we've talked about. So
it is
going to be curious to see how he does. I think he's got a real good chance to improve on his Ledgestone performance from past years as he competes this year.
The fact that he, that circle one percentage, I think is just excellent, given that he has that accuracy to go along with it. I think that that's in stark contrast to someone like, being honest, Ezra Aderhold, who I know can throw a mile long, but I feel like doesn't have quite the precision needed at certain courses to compete and be as competitive. Gavin Rathbun, I feel like, has that development, across the board. I think it's something that suits well for him, and I'm excited to see him for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, if he picks up the putter, he's gonna be right there. He's been very good. I mean, he disagreed with me. I have to disagree with him. I mean, I think his finishes show you that he is playing better this year, and maybe it feels the same to him. But if your ceiling's a little higher, then to me that means playing better. But it's sometimes hard maybe to identify the things that have changed in your game, because maybe there's not really anything specifically. It's just, the thing is, in disc golf, if you shoot your tee shots 5% better and you make your putts 5% more, that can lead to actually fairly substantial shifts on the leaderboard. And that's not you're not going to feel that difference necessarily. It's just, it shows up in finishing, in the top 15 range instead of the top 30 range. So, well,
and if your weekends now are spent touring and playing Elite Series events, I could see why he would feel that if before he was playing, and I'm not saying local little C tiers, but A tiers that are pretty significant events that he may have been winning or coming closer to winning regularly in previous years. That can give the perception that, oh yeah, I'm not playing as well because I don't have any wins, or I'm not, consistently top 5. And, his payouts in terms of actual cash made this year may actually even be less than it was when he was just killing it on the local and regional scene. So that I think that's the other reason that could contribute to his feeling of maybe not playing quite as well.
The Disc Golf Pro Tour Celebrity Pro-Am happened this week. And, well, what do you know? Paul McBeth won alongside Jordan Wisely. So they had a round of singles, and then they did doubles pairing up celebrities and pros. And so McBeth and Wisely ended up on the same team. Jordan Wisely finished in second to last place in the singles, going 27 over to McBeth's 9 under, but together in doubles they tore it up. And it was they did some alternate shot, and they also did some best disc in the doubles land. Second place was Ricky Wysocki with Julian Marquez, and third place was Simon Lizotte with Wes Finley. So, it didn't end up getting streamed on Disc Golf Network. It's going to be out on YouTube at some point. I kind of personally lost a lot of excitement for this thing after the initial announcement, to be perfectly honest. But a couple of aces, that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. McBeth and Katrina Allen both hit an ace on the same hole on the same card in the middle of the doubles round. So that'll be cool to check out. And, I think, like I said before about this, Josh, and I'll be curious for your take, I think this sets up well for the future of celebrity pro-ams, and that's really what this is kind of the purpose of this was anyway.
100%. I think when, they start offering rings to the winning team and Charles Barkley's like, this is my chance to get one, then I'll watch it. And it's cool. You've got some names. I don't want to say big names. Give it 5 years and get a lot of cash involved.
A number of professional athletes.
Yeah.
From other sports, which, I think there is some legitimizing factor there.
I agree. And maybe if you could even do if you could just get 8 golfers and you did a disc golf mashup, where you played a round of disc golf and then a round of traditional golf, then I think that would be something to be exciting. And
I would watch that.
I would be really interested in that. So
PGA and PDGA pros playing together, and it's round, you play doubles the whole time, mm-hmm. and it's round of golf, round of disc golf.
Yeah. That's what I think would be interesting to see. So,
and I think if you do it in the off season for the golfers, in the winter, that's mm-hmm. a plausible thing that could happen.
I 100%. And I think there you go. Disc Golf Pro Tour. We've given you the idea. We'll Charlie and I'll come commentate it too, if you want us.
Put Bryson DeChambeau and Simon Lizotte on the same pairing. Let's just watch some mashes.
But only if Kopika's on his card with him in both rounds.
You better get your pronunciation straight. He's not going to come if you say it like
no.
Koepka.
Koepka. Sorry, I read a lot of golf news.
All good.
I don't listen as much.
All good.
So
it's we'll have to think about that. We're going to come up with all of our hypothetical pairings for the PGA PDGA combo event. Anyway, that is going to do it for today's show. Make sure you tune in for our subscriber bonus segment where we talk about the most promising young players. Who's going to have that breakout performance? We'll see. Maybe it'll be Gavin Rathbun, 23 years old. That counts as young. I think if you're under 25, you're young. Is that fair?
I think it's
fair.
It's
not like NBA. In the NBA, okay, so, sorry, quick aside. The Knicks drafted Obi Toppin. And I'm actually super excited about Obi Toppin. He had some good moments in the playoffs and looked good in the second half of the year. But people are like, this dude is old because he played all 4 years of college. So he's 22. And in the NBA, that's ancient. So these guys, these kids coming out of college are 19, joining mm-hmm. the league. So I still think that I don't know what the age cutoff is for being young. All I know is that the age cutoff for being old is however old Paul Ulibarri is. That is the cutoff. If it doesn't matter how old he is, that's the cutoff. No, he knows I'm joking, but am I? I think he knows. All right, that is going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in, And for Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long, and we'll talk to you next week right here on the Upshot.